If you're driving and you break down, have an accident or simply get stranded, this is going to help. This is my Get You Out of Trouble car kit. So this kit is designed to get you out of trouble when things start to go wrong, and by that I mean an accident or a breakdown or potentially getting unexpectedly stranded. It's not going to have everything in it you might need, but hopefully it will give you some ideas. When it comes to the bag, any bag will do really, bearing in mind you're not going to be carrying it about, it's going to be in the car. However, having said that, I have just bought this bag for this particular kit because I really like it. It's fully waterproof and it's the perfect size. It's from a company called KitBrix, and if you're interested in this bag or anything else in this video, then I'll include links in the description below. Okay, let's go through each item one by one. Imagine you've broken down or potentially had an accident. The first thing you need to take account of is the safety of your passengers, and in most cases that means getting them out of the car. If you break down on a motorway in the UK and you're on the hard shoulder, you're not allowed to keep your passengers in the car because they're in danger, and if you are stranded on a blind corner, you've got to get them out quickly. If it is raining, they're potentially going to get soaked, so it's useful to have something in here that you can give them to keep them dry. So in here I've got 4 waterproof ponchos or Packamax. They're really cheap, a couple of dollars each, but if you've got people sat around in the rain for hours, that can become a real problem, so they're really worth having. Also in here for me, I've got a waterproof that's a little bit more substantial. This is going to stand up better if I'm working on the car or changing a wheel or trying to find something that might be wrong under the car. So I carry one of these that I know fits me. It's not expensive, it's quite cheap, but a little bit more hard wearing than the polythene Packamax for your passengers. If on the other hand it is really cold and you've got people sat out, for extra protection, these survival blankets, again really cheap. I think these cost me about £1.50, so less than $2, and these retain 90% of body heat, so you just wrap these around the passengers, and that could be even if they're in the car and the car's getting really cold, maybe because you can't heat the car, or it could be that they're sat by the roadside. Get them wrapped in a blanket, make sure they don't get cold. Also, it's really important if you're moving around on a road that you wear a high vis. I carry a couple in here. Even in daylight, these can really help. We've got reflective strips that really stand out. At night, they're absolutely essential, and in some countries it's a legal requirement to have these in the car. So the next thing to do once you've got your passengers to safety is to make sure that the vehicle is not a hazard to other road users. Now, if it's broken down by the side of the road, very often we would then get one of these triangles out, although you can't use them on a motorway. When it gets to night time, the problem becomes much worse. If you've broken down without lights, and this can happen, it happened to a friend of mine, so no lights, no hazard lights, nothing. Now imagine you're on a blind bend, then you've got a real problem. So I always carry these. These are road flares, and these can be a lifesaver. So these come as a pack of 4 in here. We have this disc. All you do is grab one of these, press the button, and then we have this spiraling flashing light, and there are various different modes, but that is particularly effective, and you put these behind the car in a row, and that will warn other road users that you are in trouble. Also on this particular one, if you press the button twice, you get a white light, so you've got a backup torch if you need it as well, ×4. So these are particularly useful. They're not particularly expensive, and you'll be glad you've got these if you are broken down at night. And whilst we're on the subject of torches, they're important to have in this kit as well. I carry at least 2. One of them I keep in this kit here, and it is a very easy to use head torch. You simply press it and it comes on. You've got a couple of light levels, and then press to turn it off. That is what you need when you're in a hurry. You just want to get it on and start using it. It doesn't need to be particularly good. You're not trying to reach far with the beam. You just need to be able to work hands-free whilst you try and find the problem. Also, this is battery powered. Also, I always carry some backup batteries. These battery caddies are really useful. It stops the batteries getting lost into the bottom of your bag, and also at the same time it stops the ends from potentially getting short-circuited and killing the battery. So battery caddy, spare batteries for your flashlight. So in addition to the headlight, I'd also recommend an ambient light, something like this. This is one from Princeton Tech. I've got a separate review of this. Just click on the link here if you want to see that. This allows you to illuminate a group of people without having a blinding light pointing in their faces. Also, this doubles up as an emergency beacon because it can flash red as well, so you've got that backup. Now, if you're going to do some work on the car, then it makes sense to have some gloves. I've got some gloves here that are breathable but also grippy. You don't want your hands filthy. When you get back into the car, it just causes problems. If you do have filthy hands, then some wipes are always good. These from Clinell are particularly good because you get one moist wipe in each packet. I generally find if you open a packet, leave it in the car, when you go back to it in 3 months time, they've all dried out, whereas these single-use ones, you never have that problem. I always carry some tools in the car, but at the very least you should carry something like this multi-tool here. This is from Leatherman, one of the best multi-tool manufacturers in the world, and there's a whole range to choose from, and they're all pretty good. Really, you're looking for pliers so you can grip and pull and cut things, and a knife, and we've got a file here, and screwdrivers. I've chosen the Leatherman Bond for this kit, and that's because I'm in the UK and the Leatherman Bond has a non-lock-in knife. If we carry a lock-in knife in the UK without good reason, then we are potentially committing a crime. So I've chosen the Leatherman Bond for that reason, and if you want to see a full review of the Leatherman Bond, then just check out this link here. And if you are going to fix things, and let's say you are not a trained mechanic, there's only a limit to what you can do, and you're going to be looking for things that are obviously wrong, and that's where these two items come in here. We have WD-40. This is for things that are stuck, and it can also dispel water from electrics. Then we've also got this is just some duct tape, or in this case Gorilla Tape, and that's for things that are loose and shouldn't be, for fastening maybe wires together. If something is hanging off, you might be able to reattach it with some tape. And I'm not alone in picking these two items. If you look on the internet, you will see lots of examples of a chart like this. If you're going to tackle something like a spare wheel change, I'm lucky here, I've got one stuck to the back door, and you're going to be on your knees getting the wheel off, then I would recommend carrying something like this. This just folds out, and it means you can kneel on the ground without getting dirty knees, or if it's damp or raining, without getting wet. Also, if you're going to be tackling something like a slow puncture, or you need to check the tyre pressures for general maintenance, then you're going to want some method of pumping up the tyres, and this cordless compressor here is a great option. It's really compact and it's rechargeable, and that's all you need. You pull the pipe off, attach it to the tyre, you switch it on, you decide whether you're pumping up a bike tyre or a car tyre or an inflatable, and then you simply press the button. You've pre-selected your pressure, and when it gets to that pressure it stops. So this couldn't really be easier to use. In the past I've had something similar, which is this. This is the same sort of thing, except that it has a cigarette plug on the end, and that's a little bit of a problem with this car because it's quite long and sometimes it's a real stretch to get it to reach. For example, it's quite tricky to blow up that tyre on the back of the door. So the cordless one is a new purchase for me. It's smaller, lighter, and a lot more practical. Then we have this. One of the other problems that we've all encountered at one point or another is a flat battery, and generally that means trying to locate some jump leads and a friendly neighbour to help you jump start the car. That is a thing of the past with something like this, and this is from a company called Gulu, and there are a few of these on the market, and this is what you call a jump starter. This is a particularly nice one. They supplied it for this review, so a big shout out to Gulu. And believe it or not, this thing will start a car. It delivers 1200 amps of power, and it will start a car with an engine size up to 5 litres, and that's a diesel engine. So quite simply, you open the flap on the side, you plug this in here, you attach those to your battery terminals or starting terminals if the battery is located elsewhere, and then you press that button and then you can simply start the car. So this is amazingly useful and a great thing to have in a kit like this. And I was at a festival some time back, and as we were leaving, somebody flagged the car down and said they needed a jump start. So I passed them one of these and they looked at me as if I was mad and said, that's never going to do it. So I said, give it a go. They went away, came back 10 minutes later, and they'd already bought one off Amazon. So surprised were they that something this small can jump start a car. And it also has a couple of other benefits. There's a flashlight built into the end, so that again is useful. And bearing in mind, in here there's an 18,000 milliamp hour battery. That torch is going to last for ages if you need it. And there's a couple of USB ports on here, so this is also a power bank. So this will help you charge any flashlights and, more importantly, your phone, because your phone is one of the most important things when things start to go wrong. So if you don't have one of these, I'd recommend you have a power bank in this kit. If you do have one of these, this will do it. So a very useful thing to have. And if you want to know more about this particular one, I'll have some links in the description below the video. What you also need in here is some water for emergencies, and also some snacks to take away hunger and give you some energy for you and your passengers. And you want them in this kit, not in the front. If they're in the front, you'll eat them and drink this. The idea here is that this will last for a year according to the sell-by date, but in reality it could last for 5 years. There is some talk about sometimes the plastic can start to eke into the water, but in an emergency you've got something which is better than nothing. But ideally you will be swapping it fairly regularly, so next time you buy a bottle of water you just swap it out with this one and drink this one. And this could be particularly useful if you get stranded. Then in the front pocket here, very simple, a notepad and pen. This is the sort of thing you need if, say, you have a bump, you need to start writing down details, things like names and addresses, registration numbers. Also with your phone, take pictures, take video. You're going to be under stress if you've had an accident, but it's important to do that. So if you know where a notepad and pen is and you can easily grab it, that will help. This one is a Write in the Rain notepad, which means it's waterproof. Really useful if you happen to be in a downpour trying to make those notes. That will help. This paper does not get wet and soggy. This is the AirPress from Tombow, very affordable pen that's pressurized, really like it. So I have this pen in a few of my kits and it works well in here. So notepad and pen where you can grab it in a hurry. There's one more item for this kit that's not actually in this kit because it needs to be kept up front. Okay, so the final item I keep up here where I can get it in a hurry, and it's this. This is a glass breaker for use in an emergency, and it also has a seatbelt cutter in here, and that's where it has to be in the front. It has to be within reach. How this works is you push against glass in the corner and it fires a metal pin into the glass and breaks the glass. It's easier to use than a hammer. You might have seen the life hammer, but that you need more dexterity, more room to get a swing at it. And if, God forbid, the car is submerged, the life hammer won't work because there's too much friction in the water, whereas this will still work. It's quite bright, so you can find it easily, but if you don't like the look of that, there are alternatives. I found this one on Amazon. It comes with a sticky holder. This is made out of aluminium. It's got the same mechanism on the top, really nicely made, and on the bottom it's got a seatbelt cutter. So I would recommend having one of these in your car within reach. It could be a lifesaver if you're trying to get out of the car in a hurry. One of the problems is if you have an accident, quite often with the doors are damaged, they were open. If you need to get out of that car, you've got to break the glass. You can't generally do that unless you've got something like this. And if you come across an accident, you could use it there as well. So a really useful thing to have. So I hope you found that useful, and if you'd like to see some more of my kits, then just check out this link here. That's it for this one. Thank you as always for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.